So, let's start my next series of Let's Not Die in the Woods. And today we're going to talk about, so on the first couple videos we talked about temporary shelter, fire making, why you need to have certain things for when you're doing that, and then part 2 we did simple land navigation and maybe some devices that you need to have or could have or should have to help with that, knowing things such as your paces and point A to B, where you need to get if you had to walk on foot from, say, your work or something like that. So today it's gonna be a little bit simpler, and where I'm sitting right now is you know, and I should have filmed some of this stuff, which I can film a little bit more, but I came out here in the winter and I've got a big old bunch of paracord. This is what was on my gun range at one point to, if somebody was there shooting with me, I had a little pulley that would go across the range as fast as you'd pull it. You know, you could pull it across and you'd shoot at it while it's on the move, and it was pretty fun to do, but it eventually fell down because a limb came down on it and all that. So I got a big old giant pile of paracord here. So what I've been doing is I've been just practicing basic knot tying techniques of putting sticks together side to side and all that kind of stuff, cinching them down, just practicing simple things like that. And so today what I want to go over is basically some basic tools and or items you should have or carry on you, or if you have a backpack, some of these items. Now I've got 4 different variations in here. You do not need all these, but we'll go over them and show you what they do, or an example of what they do in this little area, so that you can get an idea of that tool. So of course we have never really gone over this backpack, and it'll take a while. There's so much crap in here. So anyways, let's look at the 3 tools that I carry in this. I got stabbed by a stick. Carry in this bag, and why I believe I'm going to go with the most important down to the least important, in my opinion. Some people could completely disagree. That's okay. But let's go with the first one, is a solid knife. This is a Esee laser strike. It is a full tang knife, as in the blade goes all the way through the handle. Every knife you buy or use for survival, it must be a full tang knife. Now the reason I use Esee knives is because never had a problem with them. They've always been great knives. They're super heavy duty, and they have a great warranty. Now this knife specifically has a spot in it. It's a little hole. Not sure if that'll focus right or not. It is a little hole right here. That is so that you can apply pressure down on like a stick if you're going to do like a friction fire. I've never used that. Also, I don't try and do friction fires because that's why I carry other items other than making that a pain in the ass on myself. So, but made in the USA, that's one of my favorite parts of certain tools like this. I'm sure some of these other ones in here are going to be Chinese made garbage, but it is what it is. If I can buy an American made one, I'll do it. So anyways, this is a knife and a good sheath that you should have with it, and this comes with the knife itself as well. They don't get much better than this, in my opinion, and this is the #1 item. And we'll go over some uses or things that you can do when you're using these kind of tools as well. So right now we're just going to go through and talk about each individual one. Let's see. Next one, well, let's just go ahead and pull out the hatchet. So I've got this little hatchet here that I've been using, and I'm going to show you one not to use. Now this is a CRKT. I've never had a problem with their brand. They've always been pretty good stuff for me. I've been using this out here when I've been building any of these items and certain things like that. Now what's happened is as I've been using this, see this wiggle here? I don't know if you can see that. It's become very loose. This is not good. And it does have the proper style in here. I think from what I've always been told, the round disperses evenly across the outside of this to better allow this to stay more rigid. But since I've been swinging this thing and beating it around and everything, it's started to open up and move a little bit. But having a good knife like this, and the reason I have the knife, or this knife, Jesus, the reason I have the axe the way I have it is because I like this one where I can get all the way up underneath the blade so I can push against something, or use it like as a small small chopping tool or something like that, where I don't have to get all the way out underneath the at the end of the handle. So I do like having the access below this region, but I'd say I'll probably end up changing out to a really good like a survival or woodsman axe sometime. And I believe they'll have a little bit longer handle than this. This is a pretty short handle. I don't even know how long this is, maybe 16, 17 inches. I think a good woodsman is probably around 19. So anyways, if you've got a knife and you want to carry an axe, I think this is probably maybe the next best thing. It's really a toss-up because, to be honest, if it's not the axe, then definitely a folding saw. And these are, man, these are the cat's ass. These right here will cut through wood so damn fast. If you gave me the choice between having a knife in one of these and an axe, I'd probably end up taking one of these, because you can baton a knife into doing some sort of simple axe functions. But for just getting through the sheer quantity of items with cutting, these fold-out blades are so good. And this is the brand is Silky. It's made in Japan. I don't know if that's better or worse. You can tell it's a pretty quality made item. So I would say that if you were to buy one, this brand Silky is probably the way to go. They make a solid saw. So, and I'll show you the function of this here in a minute. I'll just pick a tree out and we'll just cut that sucker down. And then the final item that you could have, I'm not sure what a lot of people call it. I've heard it called a pioneer's auger, settler tool, but what it is it is a 1-inch auger, so you can drill through the wood, and then this end right here you can hammer down, and that's what I use the back of my axe for. You can hammer down on a piece of wood and get that down to that exact 1 inch, so when you've drilled your hole, you can then insert whatever stick through that hole, because this matches the same size basically. And I got an example of that up here, and I put it into so what I do is I find live trees and I put them into a live tree. That live tree then starts to go around that and grab onto that, and it holds tight, like it ain't going nowhere. And this is really sharp. Now, I have beaten this up a couple times already and damaged it. Not sure if I can get that to focus in there, but on this edge right here, I've beaten this up pretty good. And it's not as round as it should be. So I'm in search of a brand that can hold up to the abuse. This is one that's it's a Wayland, and it comes with a pretty nice little leather sheath. I'll keep looking for one of these, this just seemed to be one of the ones that had some pretty good reviews on it. And I think it's made in the USA. I can't remember. But you know, I would like to find one that's even better than that. And they do make them different sizes too, so you can do different functions with them, different hole sizes or whatever. But this is probably the least of what you need. It would definitely be, like I said, the knife, number one, and then a toss-up between the axe or the handsaw. And this is just an item, an extra item. And what I've done is I've taken a piece of wood that I've whittled down, and I use it as my handle for when I'm drilling through the tree. So I've already got one that I just carry with it. You can make one every time, but I was like, well, you know, why not? I mean, I can just cut it down, and you can do a lot of this work with a knife. And I probably cleaned this up with a knife, but you know, it's pretty good round shape. And I think I made most of it with this, and then I just honed it down. So that's that. Using it by hand without this is quite difficult. So it is definitely better to have some sort of handle that you'll eventually make for it. So let's go into me showing you a couple of these items in action, and we will you know, start off there. So one of the benefits of having a really heavy knife is you can come in here and chop small limbs down like a small axe would be able to. Maybe not as good as an axe, but you'll still be able to make it through several of them. And then obviously the sharper the blade, the better you can peel off wood or tinder or things like that, depending on which way you want to. But this tree's been sitting here for a little while. It's one of the ones I cut down last time. And you know, you can get some good pieces of tinder off there with this. Now, the other function that you do, and I can just look around here and see if I can find a stick, is because this is such a heavy knife, you can baton the backside of this to cut into something such as a tree. So let me reset up and see if I can find a stick to beat on the backside of this with, and kind of show you that in action. So I couldn't find a stick except for this one right here, which I'm just going to pick up, and we will show you how well this saw works. So, and one of the ways you can hold a stick still is by getting down on your knees and putting this behind one of your legs, and this will cut right through it pretty quickly. And then I'll use this as the baton, and you can see just how fast. I mean, this blade is ridiculous on how fast it'll cut through something. It's super sharp, and make short work of spots like that. So and then what I'll do is I'll use this as my baton on the other one. So we'll get this cleaned up a little bit, and I'll show you batoning that back of that knife. So, and you can take this to the base of a tree the same way, and you'll just eat through it. And I've cut down pretty decent sized little trees in here with this, and I'll show you an example of what one of those looks like. Well, instead of showing you one, I'm just going to actually cut this tree down right here. Get some of this stuff out of the way so y'all can even see what the hell you're looking at. We're just going to go right at the bottom of this little tree right here. And this is nice and decently long, so what you can do is eventually take all these limbs off and use it for any kind of bracing or things like that. So let's go ahead and cut this down and just show you how fast this tool works. And I mean, it's done. Nice, clean, smooth. I'll get the camera over here and you can take a look at that. Let me focus that in real quick, sorry. You know, so you can see how well it's cut straight across there and how quickly that was. So that's why I say that that saw could be more valuable than the axe itself, because to get through that same tree with that small axe would take a little bit more, and it's not going to be as clean of an end of a cut. And for building, those clean ends are pretty nice. Okay, so anyways, we got back over here, got our piece. I like to take these knobs off because I don't like to hold on to them. They get in my way. Anyways, so when you're taking this knife and batoning through a tree with it, and I'm probably gonna be able to make it through this tree pretty easily. Well, it curved on me, but you can see that I basically just split that tree right down with that, because you're in with the sharp as a blade and this heavy duty of an axe, or I mean a knife blade this is, and how heavy duty it is. You can basically turn it into the functions of an axe. So it's pretty nice to have that mean of a handle for that purpose alone, and that's why I definitely recommend the Esee knives. I mean, period. That is the brand I recommend. There's a couple other ones out there, and they're appropriate price. You can get some really crazy good looking knives that people make, a lot of veteran made companies, but for the price, these are hard to beat. Because some of those other ones, you're going to get into like $300 or $400 range for a knife, where, you know, an Esee laser strike's probably $150. So anyways, that's kind of the batoning function of using a knife. So get out there and give it a try. Try some of these techniques. Get you some of these items and get out in the woods and have a go at it. So, and then I'll show you some examples. I won't do any of the auger stuff, but I'll show you some examples of the auger, and then we'll wrap the video up a little bit. So bear with me as I'm going to be manually doing this. This is one that I drove into the ground, and on one end of this, to be able to have it made it up to the other one, I've drilled a hole through it and put this long piece across over to here, and then I've tied up these pieces with little cinch knots, which it's not going anywhere with that. Now it's a little bit wiggly because I haven't obviously finished everything else on it, because I've just been practicing some stuff. So, but I'll show you the backside of this one that I ran down into that live tree right there, and I'll show you what the backside of that looks like. So on the front side here though, we have gotten, sorry for the focusing, I am trying to manually focus this. We ran that in there, and you can already see that that has basically sealed up all the way. There's nothing surrounding that, as this has started to grow around that, and that's what we're seeing here as well. So basically that just went through that side and made that basically a wall. So, you know, and that's why that auger is so good. Now, you can make this post with a knife, but getting a clean hole through this tree, a little bit different. Now, what a lot of people do is they'll just find you a sturdy limb and tie lay it across the stick across there and just tie it together. And I can show you how I've done that on a couple other spots over here as well. So this is where I just took two trees. I took two smaller trees and just bent them across each other and then force tied them together with the other posts or the other sticks going through them. So these will end up growing and pushing this, you know, so this is probably not the best way to do this because as these are small trees, they're going to grow and start pushing this all over the place. But you can do the similar thing with other spots and tying these up. And these are, I mean, this is, I mean, I can't pull that up or down. I can shake it side to side because it's a small tree, but getting it anywhere else I can't. And what I've also done is because that was a smaller tree, I've cinched this tree together with some knots as well, and those will eventually be grown over probably in the near future. So it's a little bit of a quicker video than my other ones probably. Maybe not as in depth. Of course, I didn't show you an axe and how to use an axe. And it's mainly because, well, this axe sucks. Not that it sucks, but it's just gotten loose, and I really need a good one before I can go into that and start giving you details on that. Because this one, I can't even recommend this right now since it's falling apart the way it is. So, you know, these are the tools that I use that are in this bag. One of the other many items in this bag. If you were to ask me, you know, your number one, knife and a Silky Saw. Number one and two, I mean. I just, as easy as this is to cut stuff, it's just hard to compete with. See, the other ones can come behind that. Like I said, I carry all four of them. Do I need to? Not really, but they work pretty well, and I've got somewhat room for them right now, so I kind of don't see any reason why I wouldn't carry them. And if you have anything or any questions or want me to see something more specific, let me know. I'd like to get into more specific. I'd like to do a whole video on actually building a shelter. I get so busy all the time, and I can't sit down and do that. And when I started doing this one and practicing some techniques, that was kind of the thought. So you know, I just need to sit down and plan that out and see what I can do, and get you some video of that. Other than that, you know, short and sweet, nice out here. Probably got ticks all over me. Ticks are coming out hot and heavy. Those of you that live in the states where ticks are prevalent, you know what I'm talking about. You know, God forbid you're out in the woods hunting and you just get covered in some small little deer ticks or something, you know. So, but other than that, you all have a great day, great weekend, and remember, always be good and do good, and I'll catch you later.